from Being in Sync. Today, well, first of all, I missed you all, and I hope you're doing well. I'm just going to wait for people to jump on, hopefully. I'm trying to come on and do more lives. Not every day, but still trying to do more lives than I have done in the past. So, in the recent past. So, if you have topics that you want me to talk about, or if you just want to do chit chat, I'm happy to do that as well. So, I thought I would come on here and talk about thinking over knowing. And I've had a couple instances of situations that have arisen. Some are from past former clients and who I'm hearing about. And so if you're watching and you're a former client, thank you. Good to see you. This message is going to be for you. And I'm going to weave in topics about being politically savvy and how important it is to know versus think. And so I'm going to go into this topic on today's discussion. So thinking over knowing. So when people think they are a particular way, they're usually disconnected from the truth. The truth being knowing, like knowingness, right? And the truth also being in connection with the heart and a frequency that is of alignment, which is different than what you think. So it's very interesting because oftentimes people will say, we'll be in a conversation and I'll ask a question and someone will still answer, and their answer has the truth, which is, I think I know. Well, I think I am. Well, I thought so. Well, I think I might. I think it does. And I think. So when we're responding with I think, and this is, the ego mind can be very savvy and talk about, start to monitor the language. Hello, Mohammed. Good to see you. But it's not about using the right words. It's about having awareness of the state of being. So when you're in a state of knowing, it's a sense, it's a feel, it's an alignment that occurs internally, right? When you're thinking, you're going to be processing looping thoughts. And oftentimes those thoughts might be yours. They might not be. They might be tied to the collective. We don't know until we know, right? So most people don't even question whether their thoughts are their own or not. And those are people who are not skilled in knowing of themselves. So you always want to be the knower of self. Self-awareness is pivotal. So one thing that you can do to become more self-aware and know who you are instead of who you think you are. So for example, those people who are in an organization and they're in management or they want to go higher and they think people like them or they think they get along with people. But people at work they're not authentic, They put on masks. And when people are masking up, you're not getting their authentic self. And this could be a trap for those of you who are looking to go higher in the ranks. You never want to work on trusting those that you work with. That is a false, empty, hello, good to see you all. Thanks for joining me. When you are trying to gauge your progress based on whether people like you or they get along or whether you're in the clique or in the outside, like if you're in the clique, guaranteed, you don't know yourself. Guaranteed it. So hello, good to see you. Hello, Canada. I'm going to Canada, but not Newfoundland next month, Thanksgiving. Well, I won't be there for Thanksgiving, but around there, you know. Okay, so going to the knower of self. If you are in the in crowd or in the out crowd, whatever crowd you are in, a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to trust their coworkers, trust their boss, trust their colleagues. That is a wasted effort. You need to learn to trust yourself. How do you do that? You have to get out of your head and you have to start feeling what you know, knowing, sensing, feeling truths when somebody is aligned and when they're not. So how do you know that? You have to be an observer of behavior, right? And if you're a participant, it's often difficult to observe, but you can. But here's what I would say for those of you who are looking to climb the ranks. People will tell you to trust them a lot. Trust me, I know. That's a sign. Trust my experience. Don't ever trust my experience or somebody else's experience. You have to trust your own experience of people. And so how do you do that? Well, start watching behaviors. If somebody, let's just say you're in a casual conversation with somebody who you think is a superior, somebody who's, say you're in a hierarchy, say a boss or a higher ranking than you, and you think they like you, right? You think that they are going to advocate for you. What I want you to do is pay attention to, one, how these people talk about other people when you're around. Are they speaking kindly about others? Are they complaining? Are they commiserating? So watch those types of behaviors. Do they gossip? Do they pretend to confide in you? This is a tactic. This is about being politically savvy. They will use the tactic of confiding in you as a way to deceive and manipulate you to get what it is that they want. And if you are thinking, oh, I'm getting close with this guy, he really likes me, you've been had. Okay? Because once you start engaging in behaviors that are weak behaviors, and gossiping is a weak behavior. Weak behaviors are being submissive to your boss. That would be a weak behavior. Those types of behaviors usually take you down a windy road of down the line. Eventually it will come back. There's no escaping. Eventually that person that you trusted, it'll come back and they won't do what you thought they would do. Why? Because you were thinking, right? So know. Have a knowing and a trusting of yourself. Not what you think I can trust them. Know you can trust yourself. Yourself, when you are a knower of self, you can trust your instincts of others versus what they tell you about themselves, versus what they say. Because people who will manipulate others will always put on a false facade. Now, I have tried so many times to spare my current clients who are in a dilemma, my past clients, but the thinking mind gets in the way. So, go back to what you know to be true. Always. In your own personal experience of others, of yourself in relationship with others, in yourself in relationship with them. Go back to that always and let that help you in your discernment, because people who are thinking they can trust others, thinking they're losing discernment within themselves. Your inner guidance will always guide you in the right direction. So thinking over knowing. So how do you know? How do you know? Well, you know because you have increased in awareness. Now, just because you think you're more aware than others, okay? There's a word. You think you're more aware than others. That's an indication you're in your ego, okay? That means you're not in your knowing. You don't know what other people are aware of or not. You do not know. You cannot be the knower of others. You can only be the knower of yourself. You can have a sense or an inkling or an idea or an intuition, but you cannot know what somebody else knows. Okay? Interesting that a lot of people, and I hear this especially with in relationship to others. Like, I know my boss likes this. No, you don't. You have an idea that your boss prefers that, unless they have explicitly said that. People in relationships, well, I know my boyfriend is feeling guilty about this. No, you don't know. You're not them. Because you are in a distorted illusion. We all are in this matrix, right? So the best way to know is to get clear within yourself. So if you have a lot of resistance, that's going to change what you can know. Because when you have resistance, you're constricting, and oftentimes all your channels are not open to communication, and you won't know as much. So, hello, good to see you. So just do your best to get in your own knowing and not thinking what you know about others. So oftentimes I notice with people that when I ask an open-ended question, they will tell an answer about what they think about somebody else. So there'll be this tactic of avoidance or denial, and that is also a sign that somebody is not in connection with their knowing, okay? So thinking over knowing. Knowing will never lead you astray. Hello, Eric. How do you make my crush like me? Well, you can't make anybody like you, Eric, but they would be silly to not like such a beautiful spirit such as yourself. But I don't, why would you want to make somebody like you? Why don't you just want to be your most amazing self? And if they like you, then you know that they like you for being your authentic self. Then you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. So if you're trying to catch somebody into liking you, then some part of you is in pursuant of something that maybe puts you in a place of a false facade, you know, pretending to be something that you're not. Just be your most amazing self, Eric. And if they're in their right mind, of course they're going to like you. You're generous, you're authentic, you're honest, right? So just be those things, and if it's the right person, they will like you. And crushes are good to have, but it doesn't mean that it's supposed to be a relationship either. Sometimes crushes are just an opportunity for you to open your heart and just be open. And that's a beautiful thing. Great question, Eric. Really nice question. Hello, India. Okay, so thinking over knowing. I think I'm in my heart. That's an indication you're not in your heart. Okay. You don't think in your heart, you know in your heart. If you're not sure if you're in your heart, put your hand on your heart and take a breath and then feel. And you will feel a difference in your body when you're connected into your heart, okay? And oftentimes just taking a breath, and touching your heart and just like slowing down a bit, you could feel it just like takes the pressure off of the mind. That's like in process always, right? So just relax into your heart. That's a good way to stay connected in your knowing that you're connected to your heart. Now, a lot of us have been conditioned to think, overthink, overprocess, and that means that we have to spend a little bit more effort, a little bit more time to create mental discipline. We really must be managing our thoughts, managing our mind, dictating the direction of our thoughts. And if we're not, something may infiltrate your thoughts and you'll think it's yours, or you'll get in some kind of resonance loop into something. Okay, I'm gonna put my glasses on for this one. Chicken on biscuits. Chicken on biscuits. That's great. Okay, people get put into hyper alert. Oh, sorry, I couldn't get that word out. People get into hyper alert or overstimulation. Yes, that's otherwise known as fight or flight. And usually people who don't have a command over their central nervous system are in overthinking, hyper alert, and overstimulation. And I've certainly been there. Certainly I have been there, and it's a practice to get yourself unwound from those states of being that create behaviors that do not honor the truth of who you are. So how do you get out of that? It's a practice. Meditation is a good practice. Walking in nature is a good practice. Being still for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Doing salt baths for your feet with no phone, no stimulus, no TV, nothing. Just be. That's one reason why I like the cold plunge, because it's like a quick getting yourself out of your mind experience. It's intense, but it works for me anyways. So yes, get command of your central nervous system. There will be a buzzing around your central nervous system. And I will say that some people, many people have their fight or flight. If you think of it like a light switch, it's switched on. And a lot of times the central nervous system, like if you think of it like a switch and it's switched on, when you learn how to command your central nervous system and you turn it off, sometimes there are what's called like repeaters, if you will, like on your computer system, just same thing in your mind, that will flip it back on. So you have to be really practiced at monitoring your central nervous system. And anything can trigger it. Like this whole thing with Charlie Kirk and seeing something tragic happen on TV, or something in your local community, a TV show that is triggering you. Monitor your central nervous system, and then once you got that under command, you really want to monitor your thoughts and make sure that they're in alignment with the direction you want to go. Hopefully that was helpful. PTSD definitely loops. Chicken Biscuits is talking about EMDR. I personally have never done EMDR for myself, although I've had colleagues that's their forte. I would say anything that puts somebody else in the authority over you and your body, you and your trauma, is not ideal. So you want to be the commander of your body, but I think it can be supportive, but ultimately you are the commander of your central nervous system. And when you have your central nervous system under command of yourself, that you are the commander of that, PTSD does not become an identifier anymore. It becomes an experience that needs healing. That's it. It's not something that's permanent, And it's not something that will continue the same way once you command your central nervous system. That much I am certain of. A lot of people that use labels like PTSD, that we live in societies that label things, but the label can actually take you away from your personal identity. So I would certainly recommend not identifying with a label such as PTSD, but just be an awareness that something is triggering you, if that helps. I don't know anybody on this planet that hasn't had something that has occurred that has shocked or traumatized them. The difference between that, everybody, right? The vast majority of us, we're walking on this planet and there's lots of stuff going on, is that how much are you taking the time to command your own field and command your own nervous system, command your own body, and create the direction you want to go. Not in avoidance of trauma, but with it. Because those things, those stories, those experiences, they formulate who we are. But they do not tell us how to heal. We dictate our own healing. Walking away does not create healing. Processing, integrating, honoring, witnessing, bringing presence, creating a safe place for yourself, all of those will create the healing that's needed. And that brings you into, going back to the topic today, that brings you into alignment with your knowing, not your thinking. When you have a trauma that is unhealed, the thinking gets triggered by those unhealed wounds. Closing down your heart does not help. It actually magnifies anything that will trigger you. I hope that helps. Monitor your nervous system. Rude is surely, that is a good name for you, because you are, you certainly are saying things that are not very nice. But you just said that you smoke crack. So I think maybe you might be in the cult, not me. Anyway, so going back to thinking over knowing. Politicals, I want to talk about specifically those people who are in positions of leadership, who have people who they are directing and or people that are following them, and knowing to be in alignment with your authentic self. So I would offer to you this is to experiment with noticing when you put your guards up. Because when people are in corporate work, they put guards up for one meeting, into another meeting, into another conversation, into another lunch. Whatever it is, people put a guard up. So notice for yourself, when you're around other people, what guard do you put up? Do you put on a mask to know it all? Do you put on a mask to pretend that you're in the right spot? Right? So notice that. Notice that within yourself. What masks do you put on to be around particular people at work? And maybe what masks that you put up in front of others so they don't know that you're in physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, or spiritual pain. So when you mask up, that is an armor that keeps you from opening your heart. And oftentimes, just masking, just putting on a fake front, will also trigger your fight or flight. Okay? So I'm just thinking if there's one other message I wanted to send about being politically savvy. I think I've said it all. I hope you found this video helpful. If you're watching this on the replay, please give me a thumbs up and let me know you're here and you're watching. I appreciate you and sending you all immense love. Cheers.